A ballerina's perspective, from performing with New York City Ballet and Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater to publishing poetry books and mentoring kids and teens. Join us in a weekly discussion with experts to gain mental health clarity and achieve growth and moral consciousness. Give our show a 5 stars, comment, share, and come along for the ride. Welcome back to another episode of the Growth, Grace, and Gratitude podcast. Today, we are going to talk a little bit about emotional trauma healing, and how to deal with gaining joy and true fulfillment in our lives with Edith B. Kiss. With over 20 years of experience in spiritual practices and trauma healing, Edith has clients from all over the world in the US, Canada, New Zealand, and the UK. From millionaire traders to influencers and artists, as a #1 best-selling author, humanitarian award winner, and international speaker, she's been featured in numerous media outlets: Voyage LA, Shout Out LA, Thrive Global, Canvas Rebel, Medium, MSP, and Fox 48. So welcome to the podcast. So excited to talk with you today.
Thank you, Ari. Hi, everybody.
It's so nice to speak about the topic when it comes to healing and dealing with our emotions. I think it's always wonderful to lend an ear, whether you've experienced it personally, because I think so many mentors have personally gone through their healing journeys and they're able to give really great guidance because they personally, in a way, witness their own inner child integrate all these shadow aspects. So I think it's so beautiful to help others as well. Did you have any experiences that kind of prompted you to want to help people in this really impactful way?
Yeah, so at the long time ago, like more than 20 years ago, I experienced panic attacks. So that's what guided me through like the Reiki energy healing and other modalities. But I haven't had the idea to really start healing until I got to the level of Reiki master. Like that was like after 15 years. I had like a big break between the level 2, level 3, because I also was a petroleum engineer at the same time. So it was more like my sanctuary, my hobbies and my self-care thing, and then to heal myself and the family members, but I wasn't thinking as a profession. Then when I became a Reiki master, and then I also got fed up with 9 to 5, and then I wanted to have a different lifestyle, I felt the calling, like, yeah, I want to help people. And then I just started to hear my neighbor when he came back from surgery, or, like some those kind of things. And then I just felt like, what if it would become my business? And then later, when I got to introduce to karma yoga healing, and then I found these very powerful healing sessions, and modalities, that was the biggest point, like, yeah, this is something which I really want to show others or help others with, and that's when I made the decision.
That's so beautiful that you mentioned a calling. I think it's so true. It's so lovely when we kind of can feel our higher self guiding us in some aspects. And sometimes it's quiet and we feel detached and isolated and separated from ourselves and our higher self. And then other times we go through experiences and then there's like small moments where there's like sparks of invitation kind of from the universe, and it takes a chance on us and we have to kind of follow the path and follow the signs or messages, synchronicities, dreams. Did you have any of those unique experiences to confirm or validate your calling? If you're ready to shake off that daily stress, come join us for online beginner adult ballet and yoga classes each week to connect with the flow of movement and the art of ballet into perfect synergy. Come as you are and learn to love your body a little bit more and gain strength and flexibility with each class. All are welcome. Sign up at balletartsmovement@gmail.com. First class free. Televital supports focus, energy, immunity, sleep, recovery, and resilience. Start feeling better today on a cellular level with zeolite, super green juice, micronutrient gut support, and more. Get over 50% off your first order for Televital. Link in the description of the podcast.
Yes, definitely. That is why I did it, because I felt that after the first samadhi meditation I did in the karma yoga healing, was that the breadcrumbs from the universe was like really intense, and then the serendipities, the synchronicities was really intense. So like within 5 months I decided to
Wow.
basically move to a new country and establish my business because it was so powerful. Before that, when I was practicing the Reiki and I was doing some family constellation therapies and all of those, that helped me with the healing and helped me with relationships, but it wasn't that profound. It was, I always believed, the connection obviously is because of the Reiki as well. So I always believed channeling and the feeling. I always followed kind of my inner guidance or higher, you know, higher inspiration. I always took inspired actions, but it was more like in my career or with my children or with my family dynamics, and it wasn't. It was more like which choice I should take, and then I always choose the one which felt, I didn't want to say like more bold or more out of the box kind of thing, but I was kind of the one who was like having these weird ideas or bold ideas, and then I was always following that, and then I realized that that actually is my higher self, because if it wouldn't be my higher self, it would be my ego, then it would hold me back, like it would be like, no, 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 it's too scary, do this one instead, but I was always going for the scary stuff. So that's how I knew that actually I was really following my higher self for a long time. And then with the karma yoga healing and with the samadhi came in more like the synchronicities, and then also feeling like people started to enter my life, and then I kind of had like these flashbacks or these feelings that they were on my past lives. So it's like healing karmas and healing cycles and stuff like that. Yeah.
That's so amazing. That's so inspiring. I think like the idea of deja vu is very interesting. I think that happens so often when, like you mentioned, like past lives, different timelines. It's super interesting because it feels kind of like a flashback, but kind of like a memory also. And sometimes I feel like it even happens with stagnancy, like when some people feel like they are stuck in the same cycle, they might feel deja vu over and over again until they kind of break the cycle or break the pattern. I think deja vu is so interesting, and I think many people do have questions about like why they experience it. Do they have to change some kind of behavioral pattern, or do they just have to listen to it, or do they have to kind of pick it apart? It's like there's so many different aspects to it.
Yeah, it's very I enjoy this kind of journey because it's just so fascinating. And what is happening to us is basically everything is already was created in the universe, and then the time is an illusion. Time is just created for us human brain to have this concept, but the reality is that everything is happening now. The past, the present, and the future is everything happening now. And then our past lives and our childhood is happening now. It's just in this illusion, there is a veil, and then we can't see behind the veil. But when there are certain constellations, happening, or there are certain numerological portals and stuff, this veil is thinning, and then you can actually have the deja vu, or you can actually have the feelings, emotions from past life or inner child or whatever it is, because the veil is thinner. And also when you're going through your awakening journey, that's what is happening to people as they become closer to the other side, to their multidimensional existence. They feel these past life and childhood trauma more. That's why they feel like actually they suffer more when they are in their awakening journey, because suddenly all of these past is hitting them because the veil getting thinner.
Yes, that's so true. And I think the way they're experiencing it is kind of like it's a shift from the ego led character to a soul led, like you mentioned, a soul awakening. It's so true. And I think so many of my friends even have made the shift when it comes to career, where they may have been very money hungry only, and they have felt such deep loneliness and isolation from the choices they made because they thought that would bring them elite pure happiness, and then when it didn't, they had to kind of go through depression, and that was probably part of their dark night of the soul or soul awakening. And then they reached out more. They started to reach out because they wanted a sense of friendship and camaraderie and companionship. And I think a lot of empaths who experience like spiritual or soul awakening, the first thing is that they notice the shift is from the physical monetary aspects towards like friendship, towards emotional connection. And I think that's a beautiful first step. And it's so wonderful to connect to that element, because I think that helps us also release emotional trauma. I think when we're able to open up and share our emotions without holding on to resentment or fear or shame, because we might have different perceptions of emotions. Some people think if they have emotions that have anger in it, that's shameful. But it's like it's part of your shadow self. You have to kind of accept that part of yourself until it integrates, or it helps you heal. I think. How do you deal with when people have anger and they don't know how to deal with it, or they don't know how they should go about integrating it? What would you tell them?
Yeah, there is so many perspective about this out there, right? So I hear it so many times that yeah, if you have anger, it's okay, or if you feel sad, it's okay. If you feel I don't know, miserable, it's okay. I don't think so, because what's happening is when you are angry or when you are sad or when you are in these low vibrational emotions, you actually blocking your energy centers. And then when you're blocking your energy centers, the energy can't flow through you correctly. And then you actually affecting the glands production and the well-being of your
Oh, wow.
body. So you kind of jeopardizing your physical health when you allow yourself to be in a low vibrational emotions. So it's always really what you can do if you don't know how to heal it from the core, like from the core traumas, you don't know how to access your unconscious mind and really release it from the core through forgiveness.
Unlock your best life with Soul App. Book a holistic wellness experience with a trained guide and start changing your life today with compassion practices, inner healing, food and diet, and so much more. Tap into a healthier and happier life with the number one purposeful living app in the US, the Soul app, link in the description of the podcast. Sanger Daniel's online seminar promoting a positive message of self-healing with bioenergy work together with live seminars and remote coaching. Use code BIO20 for a 20% discount for our audience. Link in the description of the podcast.
Then the best thing you can do is actually shift it into like a positive thing, like, and not sitting with it, not going into the rabbit hole, because then you're ruining your physical health. So how to shift it? Let's say you are angry with someone. Look at it from a different perspective. Look at it from the perspective of, oh, maybe I am in this situation because I'm just getting back my karma from my past life. Or maybe I'm in this situation because that person is actually suffering more than me. And then that person doesn't know how to handle their issues. And then it's just reflecting back and forth or whatever. So look at it from a higher divine perspective, it helps a lot to understand that, oh, we are just little people, little humans, trying to go through this game, called life. But basically we shouldn't take everything personally, because nothing is personal. Everybody has their own little world, they what is circling around them. And then if they trying to bug you or harm you or betray you or whatever, it's about them, it's not about you. It's about their pain is coming out, is their suffering is coming to the surface, and they don't know how to deal with it, so they just hurt everyone around them. But it's not directly going just for to you, so having that strength, having that mindfulness, and having that knowing that actually I can deal with this thing, or I can actually bring myself to positivity. How you do that? Do something what you enjoy, start dancing, singing, eat something that you love, or go for a walk, or call someone who you enjoy to connect with, and go for a coffee or something. So try something joyful and just forget about it, if you don't know how to heal it. So only sit with it if you know how to go into the deeper layers and release the whole thing. If you don't know how to do that, then don't sit with it.
That's exactly the best advice, I think, because there are so many mentors or therapists like talking about how you have to deal with it and you have to keep talking and talking. And I feel like that can just go, it can like feel like you're just going in circles and you're not gaining the clarity or wisdom if you're just speaking the same thing over and over again, right?
I was talking with so many people who've been like speaking therapy for 7 years, or who were doing other stuff. And then, for example, they told me that the speaking therapy brought them to the awareness actually about their own emotions, because they didn't even know what they were dealing with. They didn't even know what was their triggers or how they actually reacted. So they got an awareness label about, oh, actually I am doing this when is this and this happens. So that's the label where they actually ended up. But there was no release, there was no healing. It was just the awareness. And what happened is, as a result of that, they learned how to hide. They learned how to set boundaries. They learned, like, I'm not going to that place because I'm going to get triggered, so I'm just going to stay home. Or I'm not going to get into a new relationship because I'm going to get triggered, I'm just going to be lonely. So this is how they could actually deal with most of the people, because speaking therapy, that's what it just brings you. Yeah.
Exactly. And then you can even bond authentically or build any kind of connection or transparency or intimacy, because like you said, you're hiding. And like, I grew up dancing ballet and now I teach kids and adult classes, so this kind of somatic healing, when you're going to move your body, you're going to start releasing stuff too. So it's like you're not going to be able to move your body and dance freely if you're holding on to something. It's not going to look graceful, it's going to be uptight. It's like, and once you start moving, actually, you start releasing all these like pent up emotions that are stored in the body. So, yeah, a lot of times talk therapy can be great, but also it's the body has a way of holding on to things until it's kind of released, not necessarily through talking. I remember when I was having kind of like an emotional upheaval, and talking only aggravated everything even more. It just made everything seem so much more heightened. When I actually
Exactly.
stopped talking, like, surprisingly, that helped to just clear it out of my system.
Yeah, they had it in deep somewhere and they started to talk about it and remember it again. So it's brought it up to the surface and then they couldn't deal with it.
Yeah, and it's also like you're reattaching to entities that are like dark and not productive and not worthy even of your time. So I think that's a really brilliant perspective, and I think many people are also kind of learning that maybe talk therapy has its limitations and it's not ideal for full spiritual kind of ascension. Can you talk a little bit about you have a number one book, which is amazing. Can you talk a little bit about what it's about?
How I got number one bestseller, it was actually a co-authoring with other authors. It was in the COVID time, and then I got invited to be one of the co-author in that book. And we were talking about the number one habit, what we should actually implement, and what is the number one habit which we should actually get rid of. And in my case, I was implementing samadhi meditation, obviously, in a daily basis. That was my suggestion. And then what to get rid of is the negative thinking, to have the negative assumptions and instead getting communication and getting the information, clarifying stuff and get clarity, right? So that was in the book about my side. So we were like many people in that book, and then we gained bestseller actually status after a couple of months of sales. And that was that. And then later I wrote my book. I have a book called On the Healer's Journey, is this one.
Oh, so beautiful.
Yeah, so this On the Hero's Journey, I wrote it also in 2020, but I published in 22, and it's actually a coaching book for seekers. So
Oh,
when you feel called to be a light worker, or you feel called to help others, this book is really great because it's supporting your awakening journey. Like, it's supporting you, like, how to deal with other people's negativity, what kind of practices you can do, or all kinds of stuff like about mental, also manifestation. So there is like 13 chapters, and every chapter has like a mandala as well, what you can color.
oh wow, that's so cool.
Or if you don't get the Kindle but you get the physical one, you actually have a coloring book.
That's amazing. That's so cool.
Yeah.
And then it's like with chakras, you can color in, like, every chakra has its own color.
Yeah, and I just finished my second book. I co-authored in other two books, but then I finished my second personal book just recently.
Podpitch is the first and only software that finds, writes, and sends pitches to podcast hosts from your actual email address. Podpitch will make sure you get podcast bookings, guaranteed. Link in the description of the podcast. ClickFunnels easily build any type of online business and sales funnel in record time, no matter what your product, service, or niche, without any tech design or experience whatsoever. Try the ClickFunnels 14-day free trial. Link in the description of the podcast.
It's the
Oh,
gap,
so exciting.
and then it's called the gap filler success. And gap filler success is, I feel that it's one of my like life, I don't know how can I say this, is like my life book, or because it contains a lot of my achievements. It contains lots of my adventures when I was like living around the globe and doing all kinds of things. And it's in a format like how I reached those goals and what actions I took. So it has a lot of strategy, lots of spirituality, lots of explanation, and then practice things what people can even implement in their life, to reach their goals.
That's so
Yeah.
beautiful. That's so lovely to share with people and to kind of give them a look into your journey, because I think when we're able to share our authenticity and our journey, that's how we relate to people the most. And I think sometimes people are afraid to kind of connect to their own authenticity because it can be so weird, quote unquote, but only because our true selves are so unique that it might feel weird to the outside world on the first impression. But I think that's why we're here, to awaken those aspects within ourselves and to be the most authentic we can, based on, moral consciousness and spiritual awareness, and just to be kind of holistic in that manner. I think it's a whole journey, but we're learning more and more what it means to be holistic. And when it comes to holistic living and lifestyles, we talked a little bit about panic attacks, and you were talking about your journey. How can people holistically start healing panic attacks?
Yeah, so what I realized with my panic attacks and also with my clients, that the most important first of all is to make sure that your physical vessel is healthy, because I realized that the triggers and then the reaction, the panics is happening more often and more on an amplified level if you actually having lack of vitamins, supplements, lack of sleep, and then also what was the other thing, like sleep, vitamins. Yeah, that's the most important basically. And so because um, when I started to have panic attacks, it was because I was weak. I either had an illness, physical illness, or I either was experiencing like some lack of vitamins, lack of food. I didn't take care of myself properly, and that when I suddenly had a panic attack. So I I really relate to like these mental health issues also related to physical health, and vice versa. It's so interesting because when you don't take care of your physical body, you don't sleep enough, you don't eat it well, you can have amplified these reactions, right, to the triggers, this anxiety, stress, and panic attacks. But then if you have all of these mental health issues, then eventually they also gonna go into diseases because of the low vibrational emotions and the blocking chakras, which I mentioned, basically is affecting your organs, and then they make you sick. So it's everything is so connected, and we need to look at everything from different perspective. And then, yeah, so first taking care of the physical, and then also to the mindset, because I had clients who I was healing from panic attacks with the source memory healing. So finding the root, healing out the root. But they were telling me like, yeah, I feel much better. I feel great. But in the morning I wake up and then thinking about what if it comes again, like they had still
Yes.
programming. And then I've told her like, okay, now we need to reprogram your subconscious mind and make sure you don't have this kind of thoughts, because it's not coming anymore because we took care of it, like it was like
It's
and
like
then
the muscle memory kind of, right? We have to like clear that.
And then we started to use like affirmations and sticky notes and all of those things.
And I think, like you mentioned, affirmations, it's so good. I think it helps to rewire the mindset so quickly because sometimes our subconscious talks to us and we kind of repeat the negative things. And it's kind of like this idea when life gives you lemons, make lemonade. It's like you have the potential to make beauty from the negativity by either blocking it or using affirmations kind of like to repel it. And it's so interesting that today's actually National Lemon Juice Day. And I thought that's so cool because part of living holistically, it's also implementing healthy diets, healthy additions to detoxes. Sometimes when people do detoxes, it helps them flush toxins out and they have less panic attacks. So it's so interesting how the body has to purify itself to get healthy.
Yeah, and also what we eat, like the food, it's so many times they say that, for example, gluten is not good for you, for your mental health, like ADHD or autism is actually get amplified when you eat more gluten or the processed sugar, or sometimes the dairy is also affecting the mental health, and the alcohol and caffeine, obviously. So I have clients who's like extremely anxious, and nervous, and I'm asking them like, do you drink coffee? And they're like, yeah, yeah, I drink coffee. I was like, okay, you should stop drinking coffee. you know or at least not 5 a day. So this kind of things, sometimes it's so basic things need to just change and shift, like your habits. You should just change your habits and not thinking already that, oh, you need to take medication or you need to do a big healing. Maybe you just need to change your habits. And then the other thing about the affirmations, I just wanted to mention that for panic attacks, the best affirmation is like, I am safe and I am in control, because they feel unsafe, they feel scared when they are having the panic attack. So they
Yes.
need to know like, yes, I'm safe, I'm absolutely safe, because I know what's happening with me, and then the universe takes care of me and everybody's taking care of me, so I'm safe. And then I am in control, which means like I can control my thoughts, my emotions, and my actions. So let's do that, and then let's keep yourself actually in a good state.
100%. This gives you back sovereignty. And I think there are so many different narratives or expectations from people or communities that want to, even narcissists, a lot of empath experience narcissistic relationships where they feel so denigrated, so disrespected, and then they kind of lose value of themselves, and that then they start having like anxiety and panic attacks because they kind of lose their safeties. Like you mentioned, those affirmations of being in control and being safe, it's so crucial. So that's so beautiful to have that at your beck and call and just kind of just like remind yourself again and again. And if you are not in a safe environment, maybe you do have to make those changes to
Yes,
physically
absolutely.
realign yourself, right? To actually be safe. You have to ask your inner child, are you safe? Like, what do you need to be safe right now? Sometimes we have to kind of understand what it is we need, because we can have so many different desires or expectations personally, and we have to also make sense of that to be like, is this realistic? Is this holistic? Is this aligned to my best self? It's also kind of like you mentioned about habits. This has to take you down a whole self-awareness journey because our habits are so intricately connected to like how we attach to others, how we attach to our perceptions of life. I think like some people created really negative habits due to fear or anxiety or having not fully processed their past breakup or something like that. And now they have to readjust their habits and patterns. And that takes willpower and also a realization and a desire to change. And it's really difficult to change, especially when we've been seemingly in a flow because we've been doing the same thing over and over again. But at one point, we get already annoyed at ourselves, right? And because it's like we're going through the same experiences, kind of wanting maybe subconsciously wanting change, but then physically it's like, okay, I'll just keep doing this because this is what I have been doing, but it hasn't been bringing me fruitfulness or joy or like true soul happiness.
So basically, I always, what I give advice is that yes, make the conscious decision like what you want to change or what goal you have, and then make a list of your habits, which are self-sabotaging habits. Like
Yes.
if you want this goal, or if you want to achieve this and this, like what are your habits which is self-sabotaging you, and these habits are in the subconscious mind with the belief systems and with the fear. And what happens is that when your body switch into autopilot, basically you are acting in those habits, right? That's why it's the first couple of weeks why you're trying to, the new habits, like you're trying to shift it, then you need to be more in your conscious mind, and that requires more energy obviously from your system. So that's why some people giving up, because they got tired, always focusing like, okay, I can't do this, I can't do that. Is being disciplined is taking more energy, so they got probably tired. So that's why it's always recommended to do like one habit at a time as well, because if you're just focusing on changing one habit, then it's more likely that you achieve, to be able to do that. If you are want to change suddenly like lots of habits, then it's more likely that you're going to fail right? So it's like and making the list and just sitting down with yourself, just spend some time to sit down and like, okay, what do I want, how I want my life to look like, or what is my goal, what do I want to achieve, and then okay, what are my habits which is actually not helping at all, and what would be the habits which helping me, because maybe I see some people who achieve those things and what they are doing. So then get those habits like, oh, they doing that, let's try that. I'm not saying that all of the successful people has the habits like you need to implement, because everybody's unique, so you need to know like what you would do or what is feels good for you, and then what helps you to reach your goal, because it's just giving you an idea of other people's habits, like, but of course first try it and don't force yourself like, yeah, those people waking up at 4 a.m. and having like lunch, and going to the gym, that's what I have to do because then I'm going to be happy and successful. No, it's maybe not, maybe you are a night owl and then you love doing your work in the evening. That's completely fine. But just make sure that the healthy set up is there for your body, and for your health. Yeah.
Yes, I love that. Those were great kind of action steps so people can take and do step by step. What was one of your most difficult habits to break or shift that you feel really helped to make a difference for your manifestation or just your joy?
Wow. I don't know. I had many self-sabotaging habits, and I just don't remember now which one. I was helped on the way a lot through energies. How can I say that? Is because when you start energy healing, when you start meditation, when you start raising your vibration, certain hobbies just falling off of you because they are low vibrational habits, or they are low vibrational situations, and then it's like after a while you just like don't feel like doing those, or you don't feel like, for example, watching TV. I at certain point I just decided I don't watch TV anymore. So because I don't watch news anymore, because it's disturbing. It's like, it's lowering my vibration. Why would I watch it if it's not good for me? So that was one thing I did, like not watching TV. And then other things about my diet, what I eat, it was coming to me through raising my vibration, and suddenly just certain food wasn't aligned with me and I can't eat them anymore. So I don't eat gluten, I don't eat processed sugar, I don't eat dairy and alcohol and caffeine. And it's helped me a lot also with my weight. I dropped many kilos because of that. And then I just feel much better like that. And yeah, so I think it's, if you start working on yourself and you start healing yourself and you start, focusing on your spiritual journey as well, like meditation, energy healings, it will help you to actually shift your habits more effortlessly.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that. It shows people that once they become kind of like attuned or aligned with their intuition, it really does help to shift naturally shift patterns and habits. And it's so interesting how you mentioned like the lower vibrations, just like it doesn't connect, it doesn't resonate. So it's like you're not craving it, and it almost feels like there's a sense of like neutrality there. And it's so interesting how the shift is. Like I remember when I was going through like a diet change and I stopped eating meat for a while, and yes, my body changed so much. I felt like stronger and I felt more clarity in my mind. It's so interesting how that change that all like helped to change my outlook and my mental health. And then after that, I was no longer craving those lower timelines or those lower dimensional frequencies that was pulling me down before, whether it was like emotional triggers, which were super heavy for me, or getting into more arguments. I just didn't even feel the need to interact with that energy. That's a really great thing to look forward to once we're able to shift our habits and realign to our true self, because like who doesn't want to live in that energy physical space, right? It's like you're able to have more clarity and joy.
Yes, absolutely. I think many people who are in those vibrations, they don't, they can't even believe that there is a way to actually feel joyful and happy again. They think they are very skeptical about like, oh, I'm living this life for like 20, 30, 40, 50 years like this. How is it possible that now I'm suddenly gonna be like happy and joyful and enjoying life? It's possible, and then you can, if you actually do the work and really go through the healings and energizing. You, we're not meant to stay there, you know, in those low vibration. It's like there is a, I really like that saying, that when they say that the heaven and hell is on earth, you know, both is on earth. And then is your perspective, you know, about life, and then the way how you live and look at it, and is that what you experience? If you are enjoying life, if you feel healthy, if you take care of yourself, then you actually attract all the things which you could experience like in a heaven, right? And then when you are the one who's always feeling struggles and always focusing on the negative things, you know, or like going through a lot of pain and struggles, but not on the way, like, you know, allowing themselves to stay in the rabbit hole and not searching for solutions, or not searching for like, how can I get out of there, you know, how can I actually feel better? And then, you know, using the gratitude, or using feeling blessed, counting your blessings, you know, because there is always some blessings there. Is not everything is bad all the time, you know. It should be some blessing, that just you waking up in the morning is a blessing, right? Or you have some friends or someone to talk to, or some family members, that's a blessing. So having a different perspective and attitude can already bring someone from hell to heaven, you know, like is just it starts with the mindset, and then working through the whole process, and just all them never actually lose hope, always working towards better things.
Wow, such a beautiful closing message. I absolutely love talking with you. What a beautiful conversation. And I thank you so much for coming on the podcast and sharing your story and your expertise in this energy work and emotional healing. I think it's going to help a lot of people, hopefully, to reconnect to parts of their inner child and shadow self, to take those first steps and to have the courage to begin healing so they can live more peacefully within the reality, which is such a gift and it's such a blessing to be able to witness that. And it is our soul blueprint that we have to kind of uncover, and we have to access that. So thank you so much for sharing everything. And where can people connect with you and get your book and see all of your content?
So for most of my social media is actually on my website as well. So if someone goes to my website edithbeekis.com, they can also go to my social media from there. I have a YouTube channel with meditation library, so they can start practicing meditations there, and they can connect to my Instagram or other social media. I also opened the school community. If you guys know what is school is actually spelled skool.com. It's a place where there are many communities. I have my own community there. It's called Release with is. So people can search on school.com release with is or my name. It's going to pop up. So in that community, I have live events. I can connect with you on Zoom, and you can ask me questions and learn from basically those workshops which I have there. Also have meditation library there, online course, all of those things. And of course, I'm also putting there all the informations from my upcoming events and books and everything. So I already have there like nearly 60 people in that community. So we welcome everybody, who's struggling with any mental health issues, or feeling stuck in life or any relationship issues. So we help out each other, and there is lots of resources there. Thank you, Ari, for having me. Thank you, everybody.